Welcome back everyone, Patrick here, and moving on to the next few examples. We've got to evaluate each of these, so we're going to get some practice in dealing with bedmass and fractions. So starting with number 1, we got 1 over 6 plus negative 7 over 30 plus 4 over 15. Now first thing we can do is notice this plus and minus here. Those combine and they make a negative, so I can change this to 1 over 6 minus 37 over 30 plus 4 over 15. Now in order to add these fractions here, what we need is a common denominator. And so notice the lowest common denominator between 6, 30, and 15 would be the 30. We can multiply the 6 by 5, multiply the top by 5, we can multiply this by 2, multiply the top by 2. And so we'd end up with 5 over 30 minus 37 over 30 plus 8 over 30, and so what this would end up being is minus 32 plus 8 would give us minus 24 over 30. And then this here simplifies to, we can divide this by 6, divide this by 6, we'd end up with negative 4 over 5. And so that would be the answer to number 1. Now moving on to number 2, we got 3 over 5 plus 7 over 15 divided by negative 6 over 5. So notice here we're going to have to do the division first before the addition using bedmass. So what we would do is 3 over 5. Now because we're dividing by a fraction, what we can do is we could take that fraction and flip it, that second one. So this would be 5 over negative 6. And then multiply it now. And so we can multiply at this point, so it would be 35 over 90, but notice if you want, you can simplify here, so the 5 goes into the 15 3 times, and so we'd end up with 3 over 5 plus, over here we'd have 7 times 1, which is 7, and then we'd have negative 6 times 3, which is negative 18. And then this plus or minus here, we can actually just change that to be a minus like that, right? So you didn't have to do this part here, and you got to be careful if it gets too complex, maybe crossing stuff out, you may miss some numbers. So you could have also put 35 over negative 18, or sorry, 35 over negative 90, right? When you multiply the 15 and the negative 6, but then the 35 over the negative 90 would simplify to negative 7 over 18. Then from here, you just subtract these two fractions, and so the common denominator between these would be 90, right? We multiply this by 18, and then we multiply this by 5. And so we'd end up, if I continue this here, we'd end up with 54 over 90 minus 35 over 90, and this would here would give us what, 19 over 90, and then that there doesn't simplify any further. Then over here, finally, number 3, we got 4 times 7 over 2 plus 4 over 3 in brackets minus 3 over 7 divided by 12 over 5. So first thing you got to do is work with this bracket here. So if we get a common denominator, which would be 6, multiply this by 3, this by 3, this by 2, this by 2. This would be 21 over 6 plus 8 over 6 minus 3 over 7. Here we can flip this and then multiply it, so it would be multiplied by 5 over 12, like that. And so working, we sort of have these like two expressions. Because they're really separated, we could work on them simultaneously. So this here would end up being 4 times 29 over 6, like that, minus, and then here we can do 15 over 84, but notice that if you want, you could simplify 1, 4. 3 goes into 12 4 times, and then you could just multiply these, so this would give us 5 over 28, like that. And then multiplying these two, you can multiply the 4 and the 29 and then the 1 and the 6, but the 4 goes into 6 3 times, like that. And so we would end up with 58 over 3 minus 5 over 28, like that. And then what we got to do here, common denominator between these two. And so we'd have the 3, common denominator would be, it would be 84. We'd have to multiply this by 28 and then this here by 3. I was thinking about doubling the 28 to 56, but 56 doesn't divide by 3. Right? So that means we'd have to multiply this by 28 and then we'd have to multiply this by 3. And then when you do 58 times 28, that would give you 1624, 1624. That's going to be over 84. And then we're going to have minus 15 over 84, like that. And then 1624 minus 15 would give you 1609. And that's going to be over 84. And then this here doesn't simplify any further. There's no number that divides 84 and 1609 smoothly.